Hey guys, Steve Welch, Beaman Toyota, downtown Nashville, coming to you from a new Toyota Tundra. Not important for the video, but just wanted to mention that in case you're wondering what I'm sitting in here. So I wanted to get you guys some of this information, which is really interesting. So that being said, I have been going over a website that's produced some information. The website is called caredge.com, caredge.com. And what it says about them is that they're an independent US-based company created to assist shoppers in their vehicle purchasing process. Our goal is to equip car and truck shoppers with professional tools, resources they need to make informed, educated decisions in the vehicle buying process. Moreover, strive to highlight that it is residual value and cost of ownership where consumers should be most focused, not just the initial purchase price. A vehicle is a significant investment that depreciates quickly, and vehicle buyers should know and understand how this process works before making an important financial commitment. So that's kind of what they say. So I've said this kind of thing for a while now, and what I normally say to people is this: if you know, I've had people before say, hey, I'm going to buy this other car brand because this other car brand is cheaper. I'm going to spend less money on this car because I can't afford the whatever. So so that being said, you're not looking at the right information. The right information is not what the price of the car is. Now, right now with market addendums and things like that, that's a little bit out of whack, but kind of thinking about maybe a simpler time, of course, but there's still a difference between what the car is selling for and what you could sell it for in, say, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. So if you buy a car and in 3 years it depreciates $6,000, let's say, right? So if the car goes down $6,000 in 3 years, well, that's part of the cost of owning the car. Well, if you bought a more expensive car, but in 3 years it only went down $4,000, well, that car cost you less money if you sold it after 3 years, or if you sold it after 5 years, or if you sold it after 7 years. That car will have cost you less money for that time. So even though the initial price was more expensive, the resale was better to your benefit. So that's what you need to look at. So obviously I'm a Toyota guy, but is Toyota always the best? No, Toyota's not always the best when it comes to resale. They're normally up there, mainly because of reliability and things like that. But I've got a bunch of paperwork here that I'm going to kind of go over, and I'm going to do it in a way that's hopefully fun and educational. I'm going to try to keep the video from being too long, and I know I'm being a little long-winded right now. You guys always call me out for that, but I had to explain why I was doing this. So what I'm going to go over is I'm going to go over some of this. I'm going to put on the screen more information about the list. I'm not just going to go through the list. I'm going to show you the differences here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go over the 3-year resale value, then I'll go over the 5-year resale values, and then the 7-year resale values, and then we're going to talk about why it's important to you. So and up on the screen right now, you're going to see that the #1 brand after 3 years is Subaru. All right, so Subaru is worth 78%. Now, this is the brand as a whole, not necessarily every car, of course, but the brand as a whole, it's going to be an average number, I'm sure. So 78.08% for Subaru, and I'm going to leave the points off here. I'm just going to kind of give you the meat numbers, all right? So the Ram is 77% after 3 years. Mazda, 76. Toyota, 74. Honda is 73. Volkswagen is 73. Ford is 72. So you can kind of see, you know, Jeep is 71. GMC is 71, Fiat is 69. You can kind of see how they go down as we're talking here, right? So, but you have that list of the top 18 in front of you. So what's next? Let's go to, and I'm going to come back to the 3-year, but just let's do this right now this way. So after 5 years, now you're going to see a little bit of a difference here. So Subaru, 65.92, so 65% for Subaru, realistically 65% for Toyota as well, 64.5% for Ram, so Ram's dropped a little bit, Dodge 64%, Honda 64, Mazda 64, Chevy 62, GMC 60, and Ford is 60%, Volkswagen rounds out top 10 at 60% as well. All right, so and you can see the rest of that 18 there. So that's your 5-year average resale value by brand. And we're going to break it down a little bit more here so that you guys can actually get some more information. All right, so now here's 7 years. This is where you start to get into some more meat of it. So if you keep this car and you actually pay it off, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. You know, your average car loan right now is 72 months. It's 6 years, right? Some are going 84 months, 7 years. If you keep it until you pay it off, you know, what's your value left? Well, if you have a Subaru, it's 52%. A Toyota is 51.75, so almost 52%. Honda, so you can see that Ram has dropped even further down to 7, so you'll notice that. But Honda's 50.5, Dodge is 48.5, Chevy is 48, GMC is 48, Ram is 47.76, so almost 48, Jeep's 47.5, Ford is 46, and Mazda is 46. So you can kind of see the rest of the 18 that are there, all the way down to Fiat at 35% of its original value after 7 years. So why is that important? Well, if you look at some of these cars, well, the Toyota, maybe you on a Toyota like a RAV4, let's say that you spent $38,000 on a RAV4 and it's worth half of that at the end. Well, what if you go into something like a GMC Yukon and you spent $87,000 on a Yukon, and now that Yukon is 48%. I realize I'm not talking about like vehicles. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just kind of giving you the difference. Well, 50% of 70 or 80,000 is a whole lot more than 50% of 35. So all that definitely comes into play, right? So, you know, if you start looking at, you know, let's look at more like vehicles. So, you know, stuff that might be in the same class. So let's say like a Kia, all right? On that 7 year, a Kia is worth 41%. Right? So if a Kia is worth 41% and a Toyota is worth 51%, but the Kia cost you a little bit less to get for the first, you know, when you first bought it, you're going to find out that usually when it comes down to it, the cost of the vehicle, it's not, even though you bought a cheaper vehicle, it probably cost you more in the long run. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pop back over, and I'm going to go into these 3-year numbers again. Now, the reason I'm going to do that is because they broke it down even further. All right, so I'm going to kind of look at this, and we're gonna pop through some of these. So if you see, you know, the 3-year numbers on which one is going to be better for you. So in each, and I'm ruffling through these pages here real quick. So the 3-year residual value, if you buy that car, you keep that car for 3 years and you sell that car, which one is going to be a better one for you to have done that with? All right, so let's take a look at the list. All right, so now this list is long. I'm not going to go through every one of these. I'm going to put it up here and I'm going to let you guys see this list, but this thing is like 116 slots on this list, so I'm not going to go through every one of them. I will hit the top 10 and I'm going to show you the rest of the list on your screen. So your Toyota RAV4, 82.62% after 3 years. So it's worth, and like I said, it doesn't matter where you start, it's still going to be worth 82.62%. So almost 83% of what you originally bought that RAV4 for in 3 years, you still have that value, right? And of course, like I said, this is per caredge.com and their research. So definitely give them a shout out for their research and take a look at their website, guys. So number 2 is the Mazda MX-5 Miata at 82.29. The Subaru Forester is number 3 at 81.5%. The GMC Sierra, 81.14 is number 4. The Toyota Tacoma, 81%. That's number 5, right? The Subaru Outback's number 6 at 80.58. The Tundra, right? 79.46% for the Tundra after 3 years. The Titan, 79.43. They don't make a lot of those, but they are out there. Toyota Avalon, 79.40. The Mazda 6 is your top 10, 79.16, right? So that's going to be important when you're talking about what you are going to be buying in your next vehicle. But I would want to point out some other things. So let's go for the bottom 10, right? Because the bottom 10, you can kind of figure out some of what I was telling you, right? So the Chevy Trax, 55.58%, right? The Kia Optima, 55.64%. That's after 3 years, guys. 3 years for your Kia Optima is 55.64. That's something that competes with the Camry, right? So if you're, your Camry's on here somewhere, and I'll find out where that is, but it's obviously higher than what the what that Kia is. So if you were comparing the Kia and the Camry, for, obviously the Camry is probably going to be a little bit higher in price, because that's, the Camry starts. So Camry is 72.73%, by the way. So I just kind of looked back over here. It's number 49 on the list, where the Kia Optima is 115 on this list. All right. So you're 20% higher residual value after 3 years with your Camry. So if you spent $3,000 more with the Camry, aren't you going to be in a better spot at the end with that much more of a residual value for your Camry? Yes, you will. So do the math, make sure that you know that. So Nissan Leaf is actually 114th, so we're third in from the bottom, right? 58.99. The Buick Encore is 113, which is 59.32%. The Mitsubishi Mirage is 60.15. The Chevy Equinox is 60.83. The Chevy Malibu is 61.4. The Chevy Spark is 61.3. The Kia Sorento is 61.58. The Nissan NV200 is 61.73, and the GMC Yukon XL is 61.79. All right, so those are your bottom 10, just kind of giving you an idea of what some of these are, and I put these up on the screen so you can see these. These are 3-year residuals. So realistically, you guys need to look at those when you're buying that used car, when you're buying that new car. It doesn't matter which one you're getting, because you know where these are going to end up after 3 years based off of these numbers from caredge.com. So now if we go to the 5-year number, you're going to see a few differences on here, and I want to point out a couple of them, but it's something that you need to look at too if you are somebody that plans to keep your car for 5 years. Now, your average American will keep a car for somewhere between 3 and 5 years. That's an average American will keep their car for that long. So if you're average, obviously there you go. So now very few people will ever pay off a car. So you have a 72-month car note, most people end up trading out of it before they pay it off. So I will mention that. So number one in your 5-year residual, Toyota Tacoma, 78.63. So if you go back to the previous list, and I know I'm shuffling papers around and I'm not trying to do that a whole lot, but if you go back to your previous list, the Tacoma was number 5 at 81% for 3 years. You're 78% after 5 years. So if you bought a 3-year-old one, realistically, you could expect to lose 2% of its value over the next 2 years. That's the reason I'm kind of showing you this. So use this video and go back and forth and look at these lists, and you can actually kind of peek at some of these things and see maybe when the best time to buy that used car is. Maybe it's a 3-year-old Tacoma, right? If you plan on keeping it 2 years, that's going to be something that you might want to look at. So number 2 is a Nissan Titan, 74%. 3 is a Ford F-150, 71.48%. And if you remember, I'm talking about a 5-year residual. That wasn't, the Ford F-150 wasn't even in the top 10 of the 3-year residual. So you start to kind of see some things moving around here. Toyota Highlander, 70.94% on your 5-year. The Camaro, the Chevy Camaro, 70.64. That's number 5. Number 6 is the Silverado. It's a Chevrolet, of course, 70.5%. The Tundra, once again sitting in a Tundra, that one is 70.41%. The Chevy Colorado is 70.18%. Number 9 is the Honda Civic. That wasn't on the top 10 either of the last list, 69.97%. And number 10 is the Nissan Frontier. Also wasn't on that list before, is at 69.82%. Those are your top 10s, and I've got the rest of that list is showing down there for you guys so that you guys can take a look at it. And see what these other ones are. See if there's any things that kind of pop out at you for these residual values on these cars. Like I said, it's important when you buy a car to know these numbers, because that's how you know if you're getting a good deal or not. So what's your bottom 10? Bottom one is 34.15%, your Nissan Leaf. That's number 116. Number 115 is the Nissan NV200. That one's 45.33%. 114 is a Chevy Express van. That's 47.07. 113 is a Mitsubishi Mirage. That's 50.10. So 112, which is, the Jeep Cherokee, is 50.71. The Avalon Hybrid, this one's kind of interesting, but I will say the Avalon Hybrid wasn't really all that popular when it initially was out, but I have a feeling with the gas prices this could change. But 51.11% on your 5-year residual on the Avalon Hybrid. Your Kia Sedona, which is your minivan, 51.54%. Your Kia Rio, which is your tiny little Kia, that's at 109, which is at 52.34%. The Sorento is at 52.52%. The Nissan Sentra is at 52.64%. And rounding out your bottom 10 is your Mitsubishi Outlander at 52.87%. And like I said, I put the rest of these on that screen there so that you guys can take a look and see where a vehicle that you might be interested in grabbing would fall on that list. Like I said, make no mistake, guys, this is important because most people don't keep their cars until they fall apart, no matter how many people tell you they will. I've been in this business for a very long time now, several years, actually about 7 years now, and just Beeman. So it's been a while, and I very rarely do you see somebody that actually keeps a car till the wheels fall off. Main reason is you can't control what the other drivers do. So other drivers can hit you and run into you, and all of a sudden that car that you planned on keeping forever, it ain't gonna keep you because that car is broken. So anyway, so now to your 7-year residual, and you're gonna find something here that's actually really interesting. Number 1 is the Chevy Corvette. That wasn't in the top 10 on any of the list for the 3-year or the 5-year, but on the 7-year resale, the Corvette has jumped to number 1. So it's at 65.09%. So it just shows you your older Corvettes do tend to bring some change still. Number 2 is the Toyota Tacoma. All right, 64.08%. All right, so if we go back and let's just kind of remember, we were 2% on the Tacoma before. Let's just kind of remember where we were at. There was a 2% difference between the 3-year and the 5-year, and if you go into the 7-year, you were, and if I get to the right page here, I can tell you, I believe it was 76%. But let's look. See, I'm not back far enough to the front. Tacoma's 3rd page in. So anyway, so the Tacoma was 78.63. Apologize for the delay there, guys. So it was 78.63. Now it's 64.08. So that 5-year to the 7-year mark doesn't seem to be as good as the 3-year to the 5-year mark on the Tacoma. So kind of see where you fall on what you're buying when you're buying it, to know what's the best value for you to buy. Not ever telling you not to buy a Tacoma just because of a little difference on there, because the Tacoma reliability over those 7 years is probably going to be top. So just know that too. So number 3 down is your Jeep Wrangler for your resale. Once again, that wasn't in the top 10 on any of the other lists, but it is on the long range list. People like the older Jeeps, so that makes sense. Your Ford F-150 is back again at 58, and I don't know if I told you Jeep Wrangler was 62.4%. The number 4 is the F-150, 58.20%. Chevy Silverado is number 5, 57.57%. The Subaru Impreza, number 6, 57.37%. Toyota 4Runner, 57.27% on the 7-year. Subaru Crosstrek, 56.48%. That was number 8. The Highlander is number 9 at 56.47%. Toyota Tundra rounds out top 10 at 56.16%. So you got to get an idea there, putting the rest of that list up there for you guys to take a look at as well. And at the same time, we're going to go over the bottom of the list just to kind of, point this part out to you. So the bottom of the list is going to be pretty low because your percentage is going down. Keep in mind, it's the percentage of your original MSRP. All right. So 110 is the bottom of this list. So they've dropped off a few of the the options here, but so the bottom 10 is a Nissan Leaf at 24%. That's after 7 years, which makes sense because your battery is probably going to be about time to be replaced on a 7-year-old Leaf, I would think. So number 109, Kia Sedona. That's the second one up from the bottom, 32.90. Number 108 is the Kia Sorento, 35.08. 107 is the Nissan Altima, 35.66. The Fiat 500 is 35.67. That's number 106. Mitsubishi Mirage, the bottom, rounds out the bottom 5. That's 36.02. Buick Enclave, 36.62. Chevy Traverse, 37.76. And the Chevy Trax is 37.97. The Mazda CX-9 is 38.14. And rounding out the bottom 10 is the Nissan NV200 at 38.57. So let's sum this up, guys, right? So, and I'm showing you the rest of that list, like I said. We'll show you a few things there as we kind of go through this, but let's sum it up. So what are we looking at? The difference between what you buy the car for and what you sell the car for is actually what it costs you. If you keep your cars 3 years and you buy a 3-year-old car, look at that 3-year number and know that it's going to be somewhere between that 3 and that 7-year number. If you buy only new cars and you get rid of them after 3 years, you're going to get that number is going to be on there for that 3-year number. If you buy them at 3, get rid of them at 5. There you go. I've given you all of this information, which was research done from caredge.com, like I said. And it is a really, really cool thing to look at, so you know where you're going to end up in your value. So it's not always the cheapest car that wins, right? So the cheapest car could end up costing you money. It could cost you more money than what you thought. So it could be cost of ownership. I'm not even talking about that. So I'm not talking about the maintenance and that. We'll do that in another video. But the cost of ownership and how much it costs to actually own the car is important as well. But I'm looking at the cost of buying the car and the cost of selling the car. So there, and those are, I'm sure, averages. There's, a few things that are going to be in there. Does car have a wreck? Does it not wreck? I understand there's some other things that are in there, but when it comes down to it, it's a really good idea to check the difference of how much of a percentage of your money will you lose in that amount of time. Buying a used car, buying a new car, anything like that. So used cars obviously are high right now, things like that, but I understand that. But I don't want to make this video be an hour long, so I'm trying to kind of simmer this down a little bit. Hopefully this helped you guys out. I've showed you some lists here. I've showed you some information. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think these numbers are accurate based off of what your experience was? Do you guys subscribe to what I'm talking about here? And obviously I ask you to subscribe to the channel as well. Give me that thumbs up as well if you would. Put this together so that you guys could kind of take a look at what you think you should do with your next car purchase. Steve Welch, Beaman Toyota in downtown Nashville. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you made it this far, tell me you made it to the end, and I'll appreciate every one of you guys. If you want to put a comment down there, I will respond to you guys. So put a comment in the bottom. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if we can respond to each other and have some fun. So Steve Welch, Beaman Toyota in Nashville, and you guys have a beautiful day. We will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.